Hey y'all, welcome to my channel, Phoenix Rising Alchemical Tarot. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. We have some energetic shifts happening. We have Saturn moving into Aries as of today, and we also have the Sun moving into Gemini. So we're now in Gemini season, and we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about it. Anytime we have any of these energetic changes and shifts, it's like a changing of the guard and new energies for us to tap into and work with to our advantage. And we're going to talk about it, see how that, who who these energies are going to affect the most, and how they could affect you and what to expect. And we'll pull a couple of cards. We'll pull a couple cards from Tarot Disassembled. We're gonna pull from. We're gonna get a couple messages for you guys from the Chinese Five Elements Oracle, and maybe not in this order, and depending on time. I'm going to pull from the Witch's Shadow Work Oracle, especially since we have Saturn in the mix, that I'd pull something shadowy. And if we have time, I'll pull a Raise Your Vibration Oracle to leave you with by Kyle Gray. All right, so let's talk about it. First off, happy birthday. Happy birthday to my Geminis, my gems. I have a Gemini placement in Venus. My Venus is in Gemini. So I'm part Gemini myself and can resonate with the energies of Gemini. And as a Leo sun, I get along with Geminis. So we're going to talk a little bit about the energy of Gemini. Happy birthday if you're having a birthday or if it's coming up. The energy of Gemini is very fast paced. Think the Knight of Swords in tarot. The Knight of Swords is Gemini represents the Knight of Swords in the tarot. And again, it's very fast paced. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, so Mercury is has to do with the mind and communication, and represents the magician in the tarot, along with Virgo. So think when you think the magician, think Virgo and Gemini. Also think Mercury and mind, communication, intellect. But Gemini, because it's air, it's an air sign, and it's ruled by the swords in tarot. It's very fast moving, fast paced, and quick witted. Think intellect. And what else? What else? Also, kind of dualistic, very dualistic energies that you could be dealing with. Sometimes, even myself being part Gemini, um, even I feel like I'm dealing with multiple people at times. That's just how it is. So with the energy of Gemini, there could be some energies of dualistic nature. We'll get into some of the challenges though in a bit. I first want to kind of give a basic overview of the energies that we're working with. So with the sun moving into Gemini, you have like some very fast-paced moving energy and having to do with the intellect and the mind and wit and movement. There's a lot of momentum there. And then with Saturn moving into Aries, so Saturn, think that Big Daddy's home. Big Daddy's home. It's a very authoritative figure. Um, Saturn rules discipline and structure, work, time. Um, it's think Capricorn and that energy, the energy of Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so um, it's very hardworking. It's a very hardworking sign, but it's also very structured, and it's karmic too. So um, whatever whatever mindsets or constraints or self-limiting beliefs programmed programmed ideologies or conditions, things that you've been conditioned with from the time you were born, even maybe what you come in with from your lineage, inherited, uh, you could be looking at and dealing with because it's very karmic. So you're going to be working with some of the challenges and struggles of karmic energies and alchemizing those. And we'll get into some of the ways of how that looks too and what that means. But again, just to go get an overview of the planets and so you know what we're dealing with. And then Aries, which is the planet Saturn, or Saturn is going into Aries. Aries is about self-assertion, drive, leadership, passion, impulsivity. It's also very fast moving, fiery, passionate, driven energy. And it can be impulsive at times. And it's the youngest sign in the zodiac. So that's why it could come off as impulsive at times, because often Aries will um, leap into action without, unlike the Knight of Pentacles, a slower earth sign, a slower earth knight. How do I want to word that? A slower knight. They may take a really long time to do something because they got to think it out, weigh out the pros and the cons and the actions, blah 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 blah. Whereas Aries will just pick up and go. With not much thought behind it. Not to say that they're um, unwise, although they can be. We can be. I have an Aries moon, so I'm included in that. Having a strong Aries placement. I'm part Aries as well, but it it's really kind of like an innovative energy, though not irresponsible. It's not irresponsible per se, but it can be perceived as that. So with it being joined with Saturn, it's almost as if when I tap into the energy, when I tap into the feeling of the energy, it reminds me of the Chariot in a way, because it's like um, reining in opposing forces. If you look at the traditional Rider Waite image of the Chariot, you have the two black and white sphinxes representing balance, yin and yang, and opposing forces, and um, the driver of the chariot having to rein these forces in order to get them to go into the same direction. So I feel like with Saturn being a planet of discipline and structure and responsibility and limitations and work, and Aries kind of representing the opposite of that, kind of being boundless and not really having so many limitations or structure necessarily, and often sometimes not very disciplined either. However, they are great leaders, and Aries in their highest form are are our leaders and our bosses and our innovators and um, first in battle type. Think Knight of Wands. Um, they share that energy with Leo, of course, but think that kind of energy is what I'm getting at. So you have Aries, which is action, independence, self-assertion, courage, leadership, impulsiveness, combined with the confines, the confines of Saturn, and it's hard work and discipline. Um, it's really helping to refine who you are and your characteristics and your your ethics and your values and what you bring and how you show up. So it's a pretty cool dynamic, and it's going to be with us for a while because it's going to be in the sign of Aries for the next 3 years until April of 2028. So we have quite a bit of time to work with this energy. It's going to affect mostly um, Aries, anyone with strong Aries placements, sun, moon, rising. Like myself, I have an Aries moon, but if you have a sun, moon, rising Aries placement, you're gonna feel it most. Um, uh, Everyone's gonna feel it, really, the effects of Saturn and Aries. But who's gonna feel it the strongest and the most transformationally is gonna be Aries, and then the rest of our fire signs, Leo and Sag, which will most likely feel it to their benefit, to our benefit. I'm a Leo sun. Leo sun, Aries moon, Scorpio rising, Gemini Venus. Those are my signs. Um, so, also, who's going to feel it is our cardinal signs. So that's gonna be Libra, Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Interesting too. I was thinking the energy reminds me of Cancer, and Cancer, or the not Cancer, the energy reminds me of the Chariot, and Cancer rule. The Chariot, Cancer is the card of the Chariot. Chariot is the card of Cancer. Oof, excuse me, y'all, and I ain't editing either, so you get what you get. The messages will come out. They will come out. We don't have any signs in retrograde right now, luckily. I'm pretty sure Mer- uh, Mer- Mercury is about to go into retrograde pretty soon. I don't know when. I haven't checked the date on that yet, but whew, communication. Communication. It should be well, we'll get into some of the challenges. But with so far with Saturn and Aries, though, feel know that that energy is going to stick around for a while. It's going to be 3 years. It's going to affect the cardinal signs and then the fire signs the most. So, with that being said, let's talk a little bit more about Gemini. Let's talk about Gemini and um, how this is going to look. All these energies playing out together at this particular time. This soup, this soup. So it's really going to have you focus and hone in on your long-term goals and commitments, and really getting structured and focused um, when approaching your long-term goals, and really wanting you to have patience too. Have patience with yourself and not rush anything or try to force anything. Um, Saturn is very patient, is about patience too, because it does have to do with time. So it's very 3D, rooted in the 3D, and having to do with things that move a little bit slower, like karma. um, but what it is going to do, because it's paired with a fast moving energy, it's going to, you may see faster consequences for your actions. For example, if you act with impulsivity. I really can't talk today, y'all. I don't know if this is going to get posted or not, because I ain't editing. um, so if you've been overly aggressive, or kind of working out of in your shadow a little bit, you may see instant karma for that, or instant consequences for that. Cause and effect. I mean, really, that's what karma is. It's cause and effect. And whereas before it may have taken a longer period of time to feel something karmically, maybe even years. Right now we're at a time where energy and time is moving faster. So, and these barriers have been lifted. So we're able to not only reap the benefits of our manifestations faster, but on the opposite end of that too, you also experience the consequences for your actions um, just the same. So you want to be very mindful with how you're acting, and use that energy of Saturn to check your impulsivity and your, where you may um, speak before you think, or act before you leap before you act, leap before you think. Oh my gosh. Leap before you think type deal. It's going to really cause you to do that, because you'll notice um, the effects of your actions sooner, and that's for either ill or not. So, what else? It's a time for new beginnings. I mean, we've come out of a heavy transformational time. So now we're integrating these new energies, and we're anchoring them in and refining our new, we've shed our skins. We're always transforming those. So that happens in a um, cyclic time frame, cyclic motion. So, don't think it's a one and done thing, and then, oh, I come through a transformational process, I shed my skin, and now I'm done. No, it's a continuous thing that'll continually happen, but you just shed your skin. So you've got this new, fresh, way of new perspective and outlook, and new energy, new fresh energy and downloads, and new habits, and ways of perceiving and thinking. So what what are you going to create with this higher perspective, and how are you going to show up? So really, Saturn is asking us to slow down and rework our work and create structure, and um, really self-govern ourselves, really self-govern, and manage our time wisely, and be our own leaders, really stepping into our own leadership roles, being our own leaders and leading others too. So it's like being the teacher and the student as well, kind of like a page energy, if you will. And I often think of, because Aries is the youngest sign in the zodiac, they often have a very page-like energy, a very young, vibrant energy. So I think of the Page of Wands when I think of Aries, and that's exactly the type of energy that we're working with too. So it's like being the teacher and the student in one. It's like being the student and the sage, and with the with the young page energy of Aries, and then the father, really grandfather, grandfather type energy of Saturn. So it's like it's also too, I think of bridging that gap between the inner child and your higher self, and operating really, um, really nurturing that relationship, and getting closer, and getting to know and listen to your higher guidance. So when I think of a higher guidance, I think of like an emperor or a king like level. So it's really the difference of a page of wands and an emperor, which is also ruled by Aries. So, but at two different extremes, the emperor embodies the energy of all four kings of the tarot suit. So um, you have the student and the teacher, the young, the innocent and the sage, basically. I don't know how else to say it. But It's a time to rebuild your self identity, and Aries is about self expression too. So it's going to be a good time for um, how you express yourself, how you express and how you create, and also how you perceive. So there's that. I wrote a couple of things down. There's so much I don't want to forget because it's really, I mean, just with the energy of Gemini alone is enough to deal with, enough to deal with. But then you've got Saturn in the mix and Aries, so it's kind of a lot. But it is definitely a refinement period, so you would want to use this time, this energy, to with that information in mind, use the energy to help refine your your self and your life. So that you're gonna want to. It's not a time to skip out on the whatever healthy habits you've created for yourself, whether it be a healthy workout regime or meditation regime, or healthy diet schedule, or healthy patterns that you've incorporated, hobbies, where you're reading or feeding your mind positive input, or whatever it is that you're doing to feed your soul. Now's not a time to get lax on that, get laxed on that, but really double down and get even more disciplined. Why is it cold in here all of a sudden? So cold. So with Gemini, okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the energy of Gemini in this season. We already discussed a little bit about it being an air sign, it being, ruled by Mercury, and about the mind and intellect, but it's also fun, um, a very light, fun-loving energy that um, that'll be a nice balance to the energy of Saturn and Aries. It's going to be a nice balance, and I feel like great to create with and work with. Just really nice energy. So um, it's going to be a time of it's going to be a time of humor and levity and getting curious. Think the Page of Swords and really getting curious, feeding going down those rabbit holes and learning something, maybe learning a new skill, learning a new hobby. Um, will all fall along the lines of the energies of tapping into the energies of Gemini, Aries, and Saturn too. Especially if it's a good hobby, a fun hobby, one that feeds your mind, your body, and your soul. And to me, anything that requires play does that. So, mental stimulation, Gemini is about mental stimulation and really having maybe reconnecting, a time to reconnect with um, maybe friends that you haven't talked to in a while, or family you haven't spoken to in a while. Really reconnect and communicate. It's time for sharing ideas and collaborating. It's a very socially primed time. Um, it's a good time to go out and have fun. In addition to learning new stuff, um, maybe find a way to combine those things. They have there's new, like, all these new hobby places popping up. I had gone to one with my brother and my brother-in-law, my boyfriend, where it's a ceramic place where you pick out. They have like all these different ceramics, anything you could think of, like animals, flowers, anything you could think of. You pick out what you want. They all have a price point, and then you paint it, and then you leave it there, and it takes about a week to get back. But they fire it up, they put it in the kiln and do everything else after that. They glaze it, and then you go and pick it up. Anyway, that's a hobby, that's a skill and a hobby. I mean, yeah, you're not doing the whole covering my microphone. You're not doing the whole glazing yourself and the whole putting it in the kiln, firing up the kiln yourself, but it's still a fun hobby that at least primes you to learning that skill if you find interest in it. It's like finding more ways to have fun that you enjoy doing and possibly incorporating it into your everyday life if you decide you like it. That's one way of finding things that resonate with you. You just got to try new things and see what resonates and what doesn't. So um, on the more challenging side, you may be dealing with some more polarized thoughts. There's that duality that I was talking about earlier. Gemini is known as the twins. Castor and Pollux are their names, and they very much so are like having two different people in you. So there's some duality there. Um, also, Gemini has to do with the Gemini represents the lovers in tarot, and it holds the energetic frequency of 6. And 6 is about balance and stability and reciprocity, give and take. So when I think of that too, in this context, I think of not just um, physicality or like monetary, but also mentally too. And there's that mental stimulation that Gemini seek, and that this energy that you may feel tapped into during this energy, you may feel like you need more mental stimulation. And I wouldn't rely on an external, well, every when it comes to input like that, it is external. But what I mean is not not waiting for somebody to give it to you, but going and getting it, like seeking what it is you want to learn. Like, don't wait for somebody to give you the information. If you want to learn about sound baths, for example, don't wait for somebody to come around and tell you about sound baths, or don't wait to go find a teacher. There's plenty of avenues to go find the information yourself, and it could even be free. YouTube is a great source of free information. YouTube University is what we call it. But yeah, you can. There's many ways to. There's the library. There's always the library, which is free. I love the library. Um, anyway, it's about feeding your creativity and your your mentality too. It's feeding your mind as well. So what else? Good time for studying new topics, reading, writing, journaling. Journaling is always good. We've discussed that to no end. Um, Conversations, brainstorming ideas, and collaborations. Yes, we discussed that. And then with it being a maybe a polarizing time, just keep that into consideration. The shadow side of Gemini, trigger warning. Every sign has a shadow side, so don't think every sign is perfect. But with Gemini, they're known to have some duality in their dealings. So that can also manifest as um, being duplicitous and two-faced, as they say, two-faced, or gossipy. you know, um, there's some shadow aspects to Gemini, in addition to the good qualities as well. They can also be kind of flighty because it's an air sign. It's very could come off as detached, very detached and flighty. Um, Even though Gemini is ruled by Mercury and the mind and mental, and loves to talk and communicate, but they're also very light-hearted, light and surface. So um, it could seem at times that it's very surface level conversations or um, surface level attachments, which is great. We don't want to take on any new attachments, take on any more attachments. So it's fine. It's mainly going to feel like a mental breath of fresh air. It's going to be Aries, not Aries, Gemini, not Gemini, Taurus season. Taurus season was very grounded and stable, coming from an earth sign to an air sign. So we went from a fast paced moving fire sign to a very slow paced moving earth sign. And now we're in a fast paced moving air sign. and, and I have no doubt it's going to go just as fast. However, like I said, the energy of Saturn though in Aries is going to stick around for a while. So you may feel some sensitivities in your throat chakra. I'm kind of feeling some sensitivities in my throat chakra now that I think about it. I feel like it's a little difficult to communicate now that I think about it. And in your third eye, because it's going to be like a balancing of or an energy of wanting to communicate your truth and your and a need to balance out that your inner knowing and logic. So we know that the swords, it's all about logic and very mind space. But uh, with the third eye, it also helps you connect that mind space a little bit to your intuition, which also has to do with your heart space. So connecting your mind um, and heart, the bridge to that is your throat. And Gemini is a skilled communicator because they're ruled by Mercury. So they often express themselves through communication. Okay. With that being said, I think I let me just make sure I touched on everything that I wanted to touch on. Oh, also some of the challenges before we move on, before I get into some cards. Some of the challenges you could be facing is feeling restlessness and also hard time focusing on a task because of that mind space, that fast moving mind energy, finding it hard to focus. And then also um, the actual shifting in routines and energy in itself could throw you off. So you're really going to need to find a balance um, between your work and play, or um, between your headspace and your heart, or logic and um, intuition. It's really going to need to find a balance with all the duality at play. It's going to be a lot of dualistic thinking, and that could be kind of frustrating too. So you're going to want to stay grounded and also balanced. All right. So with that being said, let's pull some cards. We're 33 minutes in. We're not doing too bad on time. I'm going to pull some tarot. Actually, I want to pull from the Chinese 5 elements first and what um, find out what messages are in here for you guys to help you anchor in some of this energy and use it to your advantage. So thank you, Spirit. What messages do we have for the collective today for their greatest good, to help them anchor in this energy to their greatest advantage? Thank you, Spirit. What messages do you have for the collective? One will do. For their greatest good. There's one. Metal ox. I don't know if you could see that. And it's a card, it's number 11, master number 11. It's 38, but it reduces to an 11. So we'll see what that means. I like how this deck has a phoenix on the cover. That's great. I kind of want to pull the cards first before I read them. All right. And then we're going to pull from the Shadow Work Oracle, the Witch's Shadow Work Oracle. Thank you, Spirit. What message do we have for the collective? What message do we have for the collective for their highest good? Message do we have for the collective for their highest good? There we go. Septi. Anything else? The stars. All right, so it's the bag. The stars and the Selkie came out. Selkie came out last night too for someone else. Okay, and then we're going to pull some tarot from, this is Symbol Tarot. I love this deck. It's got yellow. All right. Thank you, Spirit. What messages do we have for the collective? What's the collective need to know in order to best use this energy to their advantage for their highest good? Thank you, Spirit. Messages for the collective. What's the collective need to know? What energies? Collective need to know for their highest good, for their advantage. Whoa. Anything else? Okay. All right. 3's good. Nice. Whoa. Interesting. We got the Tower, the Sun, the King of Pentacles, and the effing Fool, and the Ten of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, y'all. Wow. Wow, that's some really powerful transformational energy. The fact that I'm going to go ahead and do the tarot first because first off, it's the most interesting and super transformational. Not just because the Tower is here, which is all about transformation. It's destroying everything, falling apart in order to rebuild. So letting everything fall to the ground, usually unexpectedly, drastically, and shockingly. It's a major arcana, so it's a huge upheaval, life change. And what comes after the Tower, sorry guys, what comes after the Tower is usually an indication of the extent of the transformation. But the beauty of it is it's once it's gone down, you have the fertile ground. It reminds me of death in a way. This is also a card of Scorpio, as well as death. But it reminds me of death, where once something is destroyed and you've got nothing left but the hollowed ground, now you can rebuild a fresh, new, stronger foundation however you want. And that's where your discipline and structure and Saturn comes in and helps with that refining. And the fact that you got, okay, so then the King of Pentacles next. The King of Pentacles, I guess this is what you're building toward. And that's just stability. That's really grounded in the 3D, but elevated. It's the King of Pentacles is very stable. And then you got the Sun. So we've got three major arcana and only we only pulled 3 cards with, well, 5 if you count the 2 at the bottom of the deck. So 3 major arcana. It's very transformational what's happening right here. And I'm not surprised by that, especially with Saturn at play. With Saturn, it's the whole point is to transmute, or not transmute, but really look at and and what's the word I want to use? Um, complete, mm, tie up some of these karmic debts and karmic cycles. It's cleaning up karmic debts and cycles. So Saturn is going to help with that. And you've got the Sun, which is the highest vibrational card in the deck, and it's also the happiest. So this, and it's illumination, and it represents the inner child. So really needing to connect with that inner child, have fun. This has been a theme for quite a bit now, and it's going to continue to be because you have an integration going on right now, hence the Tower. You have an integration going on right now with your higher self and your inner child. Your inner child, you and your higher self are merging into one in order to create this new beginning with the Fool. And the Fool is also Aries energy. We spoke about the Fool earlier, I believe. Did we? No, we spoke about the Emperor. Okay, well, the Fool is also a card of Aries as well. And it's about taking a leap of faith, really trusting your path and your direction and knowing that it'll unfold before you, especially with this Sun before it. And both of them, they're pretty bright in their imagery. So think creation, solar plexus. It's a great time. The whole summer, you know, Gemini is the lead in to the summer season. So, and I'm seeing a whole lot of solar energy here with the yellow, the sun here, a lot of energy of creation and just happiness and illumination, passion. And you have the Ten of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck as well. And the Ten of Pentacles, it's a card of completion. It's your legacy. It's where you want to be when you're checking out at the end. This is what you're working for. This is your legacy, stability, wealth, prosperity, abundance. In the traditional Rider-Waite depiction of the Ten of Pentacles, you have an old man and an old woman, like they've lived their life fully. They're happy. They've got generations behind them. They've got grandkids, maybe their kids, dogs, the pets, and everybody is just kind of together in union, and they're abundant and rich because of it. So that's like your happy ending, working toward your happy ending. And with the Sun here and the Fool, all of your major arcana, even with this Tower, it's amazing. The Sun coming after the Tower is amazing. The Fool, the Sun, and the King of Pentacles, and the Ten of Pentacles coming after the Tower. Y'all are set. This is great. Well, I'm not going to say you're set, but I mean, it's an opportune time. It's a really opportune time to tap into. If you can really use the shadow energy to help illuminate you and lift you, help you to ascend into a lighter vibrational frequency, the better things get and the more access you have to information and solutions to problems problems that were once problems no longer are problems. They just dissipate from your auric field type deal. All right, so now we're going to read from the witch's shadow work, since we're talking about shadow now. This is a new deck. I've only used this once last night. um, and so I'm still getting to know it. I'm gonna have to read. Oh, excuse me. I'm gonna have to read what it says, and I'm not sure of all the archetypes yet. However, I did read this about the Selkie last night, and it's interesting because I feel like the Selkie is also an ether creature. Which I haven't forgotten about, y'all. I know I owe you some ether creatures. I know about that video that ended abruptly. Sorry. Sorry about that. I kept running out of space. Where is it? The crone. Sorry, y'all. Trying to determine if it's not alphabetical order. So it's like, well, what order is it in? I just gotta guess. Well, that came out last night. Oh, here we go. The stars. All right, the stars. The stars ask, "What dreams have you lost?" It is easy to ignore the stars. In the city, their twinkle is faint, obscured behind a veil of light pollution. Even in the country, where they shine with clarity and beauty, we shut ourselves away indoors and at night and rarely see them. Lured by the comforts of home, we forget that the stars are out there, and we go about our lives rarely looking skyward, much as we also neglect our dreams, those heart-centered plans for ourselves that get ignored and then forgotten. Stargazing can make us feel small and insignificant, but it also imparts a sense of connection. There comes a moment when we realize we are not merely observers, but are part of the wonder we are witnessing. The ancient Egyptians understood this, using the pattern of the stars to align the Great Pyramids with the Earth's four cardinal points. The practice of astrology studies the movements and positions of celestial bodies, believing that they influence our lives and behavior. We are all part of the cosmos' grand design. My dreams are big, real, and achievable. There are many reasons why we neglect our dreams, from condemnation by others to a lack of confidence in ourselves. But it is comforting to know that, like the stars, they will always be there, waiting for us to notice them again. They are woven into our lives and the universe like a silver thread. Yeah. I don't know about y'all, but I feel I have the adverse effect when I'm looking up at the sky and the stars. I feel connected to it. I can see how it can cause someone to feel small and insignificant. I can see that, but I can also see how you could feel limitless and expansive, because it's like being connected to all the magic within you and around you, and feeling your connectedness to the expansiveness of it all. So I don't know. I feel bigger. All right, the Selkie. There it is. Glad it didn't take very long to find that one. The Selkie asks, "Are you your own person?" You may have seen a Selkie and not realized it. When they are in the sea, they are indistinguishable from seals. But when they decide to come ashore, they shed their seal skins and take the form of a human. Once on land, Selkies have said to seduce unsuspecting seafaring men with their preternatural beauty. On Shetland and Orkney, tales are told of sailors who find a shape-shifted Selkie naked on the shore and fall in love. They marry her and have children, and all is well dun, 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 until the Selkie cannot bear her longing for the sea any more. So she puts her sealskin back on and adorns them. Once a year, her plaintive cries are heard, and she returns in the form of a sorrowful seal to see her children. Some particularly mean-spirited husbands, realizing they have married a Selkie, hide her sealskin to prevent her from returning to her animal form. The dual nature of a Selkie, who can be friendly and helpful to humans but also dangerous and vengeful, is instructive in shadow work. It teaches us about the difficulties that arise when we do not live an authentic life or adopt a false identity to please others. Like the Selkie, we can be free when we rediscover our true form once more. You say, like the Selkie, I can only be free if I am true to myself. So yeah, it's really this also reminds me of Gemini energy too, especially because of the dualistic nature of Gemini, and also this talking about authenticity and being in your true authentic form and shape shifting. So, and I feel like Geminis are very good at that. So, the Silky, I hope that resonated. And then I'm going to read, we've got here the metal ox. Where is it? Oh, here we go. It's the metal ox. I'm a metal monkey. I'm a metal monkey in the Chinese zodiac. 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, again, this reduces to a number 11, which is a master number, master intuitive. The ox in the Chinese zodiac is quite stubborn, quite bullheaded. Reminds me of a Taurus. Okay, here we go. Experience the greatest love. The metal ox pillar encourages you to believe in the power of love, whether it is self-love, family love, romantic love, or love for all beings. Love in its pure form carries one of the highest frequencies that can help heal our pains and ultimately lead to inner joy. This card is an invitation to tune in to that high frequency and experience love that comes from within. Start practicing love kindness toward yourself to align with the love energy and allow your inner light to emerge. Metal is the element associated with planet Venus. As a symbol of the goddess energy, Venus is beautiful, enchanting, and powerful. She knows when it's time to turn on the charm and when it's time to replenish and heal. The deeply spiritual, patient ox, a yin earth sign associated with Mother Earth, is always in tune with what her body needs. Hidden yin metal in the ox inspires us to shine our best, while hidden yin water reminds us where there is more wisdom when we look deeper within. In the beloved Chinese folktale, The Cowherd and the Weaver Girl, cosmic fairy Jinyu comes down to earth and marries a cowherd Nulong. When the goddess of heaven separates her from her love, heartbroken, Jinyu becomes the star Vega, one of the most significant stars in Taoism, while Nulong transforms into the star Altair on the other side of the Milky Way. Their great love is celebrated once a year on the seventh day of the seventh lunar month, when both stars are finally together for one night, high in the night sky. The tale serves as a reminder that love is the most powerful force, and cultivating it starts from within. Message from heaven. Like a mirror, yin metal reflects what is. Honor the beauty that you see in the mirror. Message from earth. Hidden yin metal and yin water in the ox represent inner beauty and wisdom. Take time to nurture your spirit with self-love and self-care to cultivate these hidden gems. Right. So at the at the bottom of everything, in the hidden energies of everything, is the underlying aspect of love. Always love for yourself, love for others. Love is the highest vibrational frequency, so that is what we're aiming for. We're aiming to transmute and um, alchemize the energy of fear into a higher vibrational energy of love, and that's why we're here. And with that said, I'm going to leave y'all there. We're 54 minutes in, and I think that's a perfect place to leave y'all. If this message resonated, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, and comment in the messages how it resonated. I'm very curious to know. And also, it helps other listeners. It helps get this messages like this out to others, and it also helps create community within the chat. So again, I hope this resonated, and um, come back for more. Keep on rising, y'all. Bye.